I'm intrigued. I'm curious to find out what this is all about. But we've been joined in studio by two people that are going to be speaking at the event. We have Edward Deborah, who is the director of Ed Consults, as well as Craig Foyle. He's the director of Foyle Safety and Management Limited in the UK, and he's a keynote speaker for this event. Gentlemen, you are both welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Morning. Good
Yeah.
morning.
All right.
You know, so I was reading the brief about the conference and I came across HSSE.
Yeah.
So I said, what's that? So then I went to check it and it's Health, Safety, Security and Environment. Did I
Absolutely.
pass the test?
That's
Did I do my research well? Okay, so let's just put this into context. When we talk about health, safety, security and environment, what's that all about? Because it's not a term or an acronym that we come across very often. Unfortunately, that's from what I'm reading, we should. But what is it all about? We can start with you.
Right, so thank you for the opportunity to be here today. When we talk about HSSE, we're trying to look at the entire embodiment of worker welfare, worker safety, their health being intact, security at work, at home, everywhere, and even protecting the environment where we operate. Because more often than not, lots of people make a lot of mistakes whilst they are working in the environment. Let's look at the oil and gas sector. Lots of spillages here and there, they affect water bodies through the environment. So HSSE, we are looking at how we can protect people, protect our investment, protect the environment, so that we make profit at the end of the day.
Okay.
If you want to add anything.
Yeah.
I think it's also a support function which organisations have built and added on. So first of all, health and safety, then also the environment, and then security gets added. So it's a kind of like a, you find that people that do these tend to be quite structured, and it works quite well.
Okay. What is it that you find in work environments that compromises workers' health and safety that makes this conference important at this time?
I mean, I think from my perspective, it's everything. I mean, it starts for me with the leadership. They need to understand and own health, safety, security and environment, and really provide the structure, the buildings, the machinery, the equipment, but also the procedures and ways of working so that people can feel safe. And for me, that's the biggest challenge. And then employees need to embrace that and really follow those rules, because we want everyone to go home in at least the same condition as they arrived in, at the end of the day.
But is it feasible, though? I mean, to achieve well-being excellence? I mean, considering the fact that we are grinding for more hours than we probably ever done, just because of competition and all of that, is it possible, though? I mean, or practicable?
We're on a journey. It's a journey.
Okay.
There's never this end goal that says we are perfect, we've achieved perfection. And some of the organisations that I deal with globally are very, they're very, very near that point.
Okay.
But they still have further to go. And if you start to believe that you're nearly there, then you take the foot off the gas and then problems start to happen. So I think if we accept that it's a continual journey, but your comment about the challenges, it's very, very difficult everywhere. The cost of living is a big issue for everybody. So we need to find practical ways that we can help make a difference and take one step at a time.
When you say practical ways, I want to understand. So for those that you say are nearly there, what are some of the things that they've done, for example, that makes them shining lights or good examples? So
they've sorted out the buildings, the structures, the machinery safety is a really big issue. They've sorted out working out. So they've picked and managed all the key risks that can affect people's lives, let alone injuries. And but all the studies show that once you've got that sorted, you then reach a plateau, and it's the human factor. So they embrace people. The leaders walk the talk. That people believe them, and but you then get workers that feel able to challenge and give ideas and own their own safety and health, and that helps make a real difference.
All right. So let me come back to you, Edward. So the Safety Profit Conference, how do you believe that this is going to address some of the challenges that so wonderfully outlined? How do you feel that the conference, is it the first edition?
Yes, this is the first edition.
Okay, so how do you feel that getting to this point where now there's this international conference to address the issue, how do you think you can solve the problem, or at least help to solve it?
Okay, so first of all, all organizations are set up for profit. It turns out that leadership in such organizations look at the profit than the people. But we forget that it is the people that guarantee the profit.
Yeah.
So let's look at it from this way. Let's protect our workers. Give them what they need, everything that they need to work comfortably, let's give them. Then they will deliver. But if you shortchange that, you don't pay them well, they don't have good conditions of service, the equipment they use to work are not right, they get hurt. And when they are hurt, they can't come to work. You lose days. Within those days, you are not able to meet your target because there was a lapse somewhere. So this conference basically is trying to look at realistic ways of addressing those concerns and trying to prove to governments, organizations and all of them that we can actually make profit whilst adhering to safety. It works hand in hand.
So safety, profits.
Yes, we can actually make profit adhering
Yeah.
to safety. Because if you look at an accident, for instance, as I mentioned, you guys are close to Kwame Nkrumah Circle. 7 years ago, we had a major incident here.
Yeah.
Lots of people died. The monies that were paid to people, supposedly as compensation, did they bring anybody back?
No.
Those families those people who perished, who were breadwinners, their families are still suffering, isn't it? So assuming we had made changes, brought in reforms after that, I'm sure people will now be comfortable that they can go to work and still come back safely. Employers will be able to get good brand image, because if your company is always involved in accidents or your staff are involved in accidents, the PR won't be great. You won't get businesses. But if you do the right things, your staff are happy, your business is going on seamlessly, you get more business, more money, and your company grows. So that's where we are coming from.
Very interesting. So let's talk about the event. Now, I've seen very interesting speakers, yourself included, because you're a keynote speaker. But what went into choosing these speakers, and what are, I mean, I don't expect you to tell us everything they're coming to say, otherwise people won't come, right?
Yeah.
But what do we expect to hear from each of these people, at least some of the key people who are on the bill?
Right, so we decided to carefully select people from different sectors.
Okay.
So there's Emmanuel Jones-Mensah, who is from construction. Construction in health and safety poses higher risk. In fact, it's a very high risk industry. So Emmanuel Jones-Mensah is going to talk about how he's managed health and safety of his staff throughout his construction period. Deborah Jane is also going to talk about events. You know, in Ghana, our weekends, our weddings, social events, and all of that.
Yeah.
How are we protecting people when they come for such events? COVID, I wouldn't say it's gone. COVID is still lurking around.
True.
But when it came, everything was shut down. But we had genuine ways of still trying to get events going.
Yeah.
How did they do that? How are they managing going forward? And it is changing. The world is changing at a very fast pace. How are we catching up? If we don't, we'll be left out and our businesses will collapse. So Debbie is going to share insights from that side. And there's the Baroness Linda, who is going to talk about logistics and transport.
Okay.
Most of our goods and services are transported by road. Our roads, we all know the condition. I don't need to talk about it. So how are they navigating through those channels?
I mean, and then also the trucks that are overloaded, things falling on the road,
Obviously.
and posing challenges for drivers, becoming safety hazards,
Yes.
you know, so I'm
Most
sure
of-
all those things are going to pop up.
And most of the vehicles don't even have warning triangles. So you realize that when accidents happen, they sort of pick leaves and
Yeah.
leave them on the way. It doesn't help much.
I
So-
saw one recently where it was it's a excavator, you know, and it had been left by the roadside. And guess what they used? A jerry can, you know, to as a marker. Now I was just thinking to
Really?
myself, as I looked through my side mirror, as I passed it, I noticed that there were no stickers on the back that were reflectors on the back. And the jerry can has no reflection, so it's in a dark spot. Literally, it's a danger waiting to happen. Somebody's just going to drive into that, you know. So yeah, it's a safety issue.
And then there's Kenneth Kakari. Kenneth is going to talk about management systems. So there are systems that are internationally accepted as the way management can manage resources in the business such that accidents will be reduced and best practice will be replicated.
Okay.
Kenneth will talk about that. Then there's Alison. Alison Hind will be talking from online. She's based in Switzerland. She's going to talk about how we can use applications to report accidents, to investigate accidents, to have data, real-time data, so we can make decisions based on that. So that's the lineup,
Super.
and that's the brain behind it. Everybody we're cutting across all sectors. So
I like
we can
it.
talk about it.
Different. So Craig, you're the keynote speaker, and it's great to have you in Ghana. You've been in Ghana for how long?
Just a few hours
Yeah.
last night.
How is the morning going in the UK?
It's obviously very, very significant, and it's the passing of the Queen has affected everybody, and it's just nice to see the unity of across all disciplines, all parties, everybody, and I think it's a massive impact, and we've got the funeral on Monday next week, so it's bank holiday, and I think almost everybody will be just paying their respects.
No, I find it interesting, how that there were a lot of people prior, let's say the last 10, 15 years, saying that, we're tired of the monarchy, blah, blah, blah. But when it came to this incident, it's like suddenly people seem to have forgotten all of that. And it's like there's a coming together, of everybody, to say this was actually probably one of the most significant people, and so she's a unifying factor. It seems to be that way. Yeah.
No, I totally agree, and no matter what people's opinions of the monarchy as a whole, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Her Majesty the Queen, which is touching and a tribute really for all those years of service.
Yes.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, wonderful. So let's talk about your keynote. What are you looking to drive home? If people come and they hear you, I mean, you've done this several times. We were speaking a little earlier about, speaking to droves of people in a room and the reactions you tend to get. But if people don't even take everything you've said, what's the one thing that you want people to remember through your keynote?
So, my keynote will talk about, we've got a presentation from the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health. It's world's largest safety body, and Edward and I are both members of that. And so they have a Catch the Wave programme, which is designed...
Catch the Wave.
Catch the Wave, yes. And it's designed with sustainability in mind, but health and safety sustainability, not the environmental side. And we want to try and make a difference, but a long-term difference. So I'll be going through that program, and also one of the things I'm really keen to find is, I think everybody has a hook. There's something that makes people do what they do. So if I'm talking to a worker who's working at height, I'll be talking about what happens if they fall, if they could die, the impact on their family, and that can change them. That's their hook. But if I'm talking to an accountant or a financial director, I need to turn that pain and suffering into money. And if I talk about the cost of accidents and those implications, then that's a really big thing to get them involved. And it's been one of the biggest things in some of the things I've done around the world that really hits it home, because financial people can make those decisions and say no to things in a boardroom, but not realise the implications. So you asked me one thing. I'm going to challenge everybody there to do one thing different from a safety or health point of view, and report back to Edward, and we will acknowledge that, and we'll praise anybody that does that and try and help make a change one step at a time.
So there's a call to action, the action, and then the final analysis. I like that.
Yeah, you can't just turn up and then tick, I've done that, because too many people think health and safety is a tick box. I have a policy, tick, now let's do something else. And it's not like that. It's about ongoing and making it better.
Super,
wonderful.
super.
So,
and he's also the 51st president of the Institute of Occupational Safety
and congratulations.
and Health.
Well, it was. There's now like a 52 or 3.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But I mean, it's a 3-year commitment, and it's the pinnacle of your professional journey. But for me, it taught me that that's great, but I need to keep going and keep learning and keep.
It's not about
pushing.
the title; it's about the impact.
No, and I need to use the fact that I've been a president of IOSH for the greater good of the membership, which is why I'm here supporting Edward, because I met Edward in 2018 in Abu Dhabi, and we've been connecting ever since and trying to make change.
Super.
Brilliant.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Edward, thank you for connecting and bringing back home, because we also have a lot to do here, and it's great to see that you know that and you're working towards it. But tell us about the event. What are the details, time, how can people be a part of it, who should be a part of it? Tell us everything.
So the event is a free to attend event.
Okay.
It is open to everybody. It starts at 9:30 a.m. at the Institute of Social, Statistical and Economic Research, Issa Hall at University of Ghana.
Okay.
So you can make your way there, then you can be part of it.
Okay.
Alternatively, we will put Zoom links.
So when is this?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. So tomorrow, that's the 15th of September.
Yes.
Okay.
Alternatively, we are going to put a Zoom link out there, so those who can't make it in person could join virtually as well.
Right.
Super.
Okay. Are there any specific people that you're targeting for this conference?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Politicians, stakeholders, business owners, employers, employees, everybody.
All
Okay.
right.
Any
Thank you.
acknowledgements?
Right, so I would like to acknowledge Proactively. Proactively has been our headline sponsor, and then Bureau of Industrial Safety, and then Limbrook Investment, Limbrook Company Limited has also supported for safety and management system. You can see he's sitting here. We're here to fly in. This is the first time in Africa, Ghana.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Yes, first time, yes. So
Welcome.
for me to have been able to pull that string really took a lot. So yeah, I've got to acknowledge him for being here, and then University of Ghana as well for giving me their hall to stage this conference. This is the first of its kind, and we hope to do it every year.
Oh,
All right.
wonderful. And we're very happy to be a part of it as well. Congratulations. And we'll be paying attention tomorrow. Even if we're not there physically, we'll tune in via online and learn something as well.
All right. Thank you
so
very much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you for having us.
We've been speaking with Craig Foyle as well as Edward Deborah. The Safety Profit Conference comes on tomorrow at the University of Ghana, Legon. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.